Welcome back to That Watch Guy London, where we are back at BQ Watches today to look at two more beautiful Audemars Piguet watches, and I'm joined by Kaylie, our head of sales and acquisitions. Kaylie, two phenomenal pieces here. I think in my year at BQ Watches, these two would definitely be in the top 10 of watches that I've seen. What can you tell us about these two watches?
Yes, so these are two completely different but two of the most amazing pieces I agree that we've had in. So this one is the Audemars Piguet, I think I'm saying it right. Yeah, Royal Oak chronograph, rose gold, factory diamond set bezel. And then this one is the Audemars Piguet OPENWORKED double wheel, or as some people call it, the skeleton, probably a bit easier if I'm honest. Which, yeah, two very different pieces that we've sourced and sold to a client. So, what great watches.
For the same client?
Same client.
It's a very happy client.
Very happy client.
Watches today. But we'll start on the gem set one. So 2024, 37 mil, rose gold, and obviously, like you said, factory cut, different, rainbow gemstones in the bezel. How does this compare? Because when I kind of think of rainbow watches, two spring to mind. You've obviously got the Rainbow Daytona, everyone knows about, and then the second one, which I believe you saw, I haven't seen it in the flesh, but the Patek Aquanaut Loose, which, if I'm not mistaken, Spencer is still trying to find a price on. How does this, I mean, just kind of initial reaction, how does this compare to those two watches that you've seen?
It's really hard because they're all so different. The only, I guess, similarity is the rainbow part of it. But to me, for me personally, this is probably my favourite. Maybe because of the size, 37 mil. It's that little bit smaller, but you've got the rose gold, you've got the rainbow diamond set, you've got the black waffle dial, as I call it, but it's actually called a tapestry dial, I believe. So this, for me personally, is probably the best one. But then obviously you've got, as you said, Rainbow Daytona, hardest one to get. Patek Loose, again, it's so hard, but I love the way that AP have done this. I love it. I love the rose gold incorporation in the dial, the black on the dial that goes with the black strap, and the rainbow diamond set that gives it that little bit of bling, but not too much bling.
I think we know from the Oyster Flex Daytonas, rose gold and black rubber works. For some reason, it works. A lot of people say, oh, I might want a different strap on that. Regardless of the watch, the dial itself, black and rose gold works. And then the way that they've, I don't want to say it's very difficult to say a rainbow bezel is subtle. I feel like the way that they've they've cut the diamonds inside the bezel is just that little bit more refined than the way that Rolex did it.
Because on Rolex, the bezel is obviously all rainbow, as they call it. Whereas this is kind of broken up by the screws in the bezel, so I think that's why it's not too much. It's subtle to an extent, but it isn't.
It's very wearable though, as you said. For I think 37 mil is an understated size or underrated size because of its versatility. For a woman, for a man, for so long we were told that women can wear 26, 28, 31, men have to wear 40. 36 was kind of the mid-range, but 37 mil, I personally think this is a great watch for a man or a woman. I know we can't say unisex watches, but this watch is very much
anyone could wear it. Anyone. I think it's the perfect size for anyone to wear. And again, with the black strap, it's not too much. Do you know what I mean? It's not all on a rose gold bracelet, which I think would look stunning. But with the black strap, it does make it that little bit more wearable. You can wear it every day if you want to. And it's just, I think, perfect piece. Yeah,
a lot more of a daily wearer. I mean, I would love to see a full rose gold version, but rubber is obviously a lot more of a daily wearer. And just on the dial, so obviously you mentioned there how it's a tapestry or tapisserie dial, as they call it in French, I believe it is. We'll have to check with the resident French watchmaker, Hasna. But obviously adorned with rose gold markers, rose gold hands. It's a phenomenal dial, but in terms of the dial itself, obviously AP have this raised, you called it a waffle pattern, this texture. It is iconic. There are not many watches, when I think of watch dials and dials that are synonymous with the brand, I feel like AP, there are not many watches that I'd be able to take the numbers, the markers off, but still be able to tell you what watch it is. I feel like AP, not just the case shape, but the dial, I feel like is
unique to AP,
iconic.
really.
Is there any other watches, and I'm asking you this as someone more knowledgeable on the watches, is there any other watches that kind of stick out in your mind as being that recognisable. So I don't know, obviously maybe Nautilus, you know, they have the horizontal texture, or they have the horizontal lines. Is there any other watch that you would say is as instantly recognisable as an AP Royal Oak dial?
It's hard because now I'm thinking in my head, taking away the numbers, like everything is there, and it's hard. Like with the Daytona, am I taking away the chronograph? Because I'd know it's a Daytona dial, but if we're literally stripping it down just to the colour and the texture, there's probably a few, but I can't name them.
A handful.
Literally.
One of a handful of iconic.
But you're right. AP, this is their dial. It's an AP dial, as I would say, but I know Rolex have done, like, I'll tell you one actually, the Rolex dial where they've engraved Rolex.
The Jubilee, yeah.
Yeah, the Jubilee one. That one, because it says Rolex, is probably one that's quite iconic.
Yeah, because they do have, obviously Rolex do have what they call, or what fans call, the tapestry dial, but that's kind of just a vertically brushed texture, and then they also do have a couple of, they have the waffle dial, which we've seen on a couple of day dates, but yeah, I think in terms of giving it that 3D, just giving it that little bit of elevation, I feel like it gives the watch more depth, and when you see it under different lights as well, it moves a lot more than a flat dial, and I do think it's fantastic.
It does.
But moving on to the second watch, and this is something that's taken the words out of my mouth. All I can say about this watch is wow. Having seen one in the flesh for the first time, wow. What, I mean...
Yeah, wow. And I love this one.
Yeah.
This is next level. Like, to me, and I think nobody can make a skeleton watch quite like AP can make a skeleton watch. I know it's not actually called a skeleton, but I think the way they do it is honestly one of the best I've ever seen.
So that's a stainless steel version.
Stainless steel,
they brought out a few, haven't they, in different, and I know there was a sand, or sand, desert, gold, or new colours being created, but I think in terms of, obvious, I say again, it's hard to talk about subtlety when you're talking about a watch of this magnitude and complication, but in terms of its wearability, its versatility, I mean, you could wear this with virtually anything. I can't imagine a single outfit, you know, playing tennis in your shorts and t-shirt with a full suit. There is not a single outfit that is not going to look unbelievable with.
It's because the steel, and they do it in rose gold, which, by the way...
I was going to say, rose gold girl, what are you taking?
But rose gold, and looking at this, rose gold, I take that. I think it works so well. The steel with the skeleton, I think it could be one of the best pieces I've ever had in a BQ. 100%. Personally.
It's. I can say without a shadow of a doubt, it's the best piece I've seen in my year. And we've had the Cartier skeleton, we've had some lovely individual pieces that have come and gone. You know, the Patek, the rose gold blue Patek that was fantastic. We've got a 5990 at the moment, beautiful watch. But to have these two in at the same time, it really shows you the two different ways that AP have gone in that they've created something that is a horological marvel. Like that is, you cannot help but be astounded by that dial. But then this is all about the aesthetic. This is all about, you know, the jewels, the showing off your wealth. This, however, is obviously a homage to watchmaking at, you know, it's at its core.
100%.
And obviously this introduced in 2016 the patented double balance wheel, which, I mean, I don't know too much about, so feel free to enlighten me. But I believe it was, and still is, a movement unique to Audemars Piguet.
Yeah, you actually are right on that. And you've just mentioned it a moment ago about Cartier. We've seen a lot of brands do the skeleton, as they call it. We've got the Cartier Santos skeleton. When we were in Geneva at Watch Days, we saw a lot of brands that were they had done the skeleton, and they look great. The Cartier Santos skeleton is also an unbelievable piece. Put the two next to each other, this will always come out on top.
Yeah. See, when we did our first interviews or first appearances on that Watch Guy London, you know, we were asked, your Holy Grail watches, what's your watch? And one of my watches, having not known much about the watch world, I went straight for skeleton watches, and I went straight for the Cartier. I think it was the Santos Dumont, which was yellow, gold, and blue at the time, which was quite nice. But I was unaware that this watch existed. I can firmly and safely say,
you change your answer now.
100%. If I could own one watch in the world, it would be that watch. I love the skeleton. I love the open work, and it's kind of like what you said, and what we said in our last video about the John Mayer, is that kind of the hype of the green dial saw a big surge in green dials.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, and we kind of said there, nobody has been able, although people have tried to replicate, nobody's been able to do it better. Do you feel like that's the same with AP?
Yeah, I do.
Do you feel like anybody is ever going to do, because I mean we've got some great individual pieces. I think there's a Gerard Perregaux downstairs, but I've never seen anything with that intricacy, the finish. It just, everything works so harmoniously, so beautifully. It's a fantastic watch.
And it looks so classy and neat. Like, even though it's a skeleton, it just goes. If there was, in my opinion, like you just said, is there anyone else? I'd like to see Patek try. I'd like.
Could you ever see that happen?
No. But I could be eating my words in a year, 2 years' time, and be proven wrong.
We didn't see the loose coming, so.
But that is, as Spencer's always said, he believes that Patek is one of the best watchmakers in the world. So if anyone was to come close to a skeleton,
do you think that AP might change his mind?
I think it could. I actually, he's just looked at it and he literally said, "This is unbelievable."
We're gonna have to ask him for ourselves.
Yeah.